nice to meet you.
Great to meet you.
How did you get started driving rideshare?
I was working for Walmart at one time, and it just didn't pay the bills.
What was it that attracted you to ride sharing in the first place?
Well, it actually, in the first place, it was adding income. But when I found that it was better to work the ride share because I could make my own hours, I could work any time of the day. I could work, throughout the night, or I could go very early in the morning. And it was easy to make the money.
How long have you been working in the rideshare business?
Since December of 2016.
Has it changed much since you've started, and do you think it's something that you could continue doing for a while?
Well, I write. So it helps me. This is more of a stepping stone for me. I love to drive, and that's why I do it. And I think people are beautiful. I like to interact with people, and see where their heads are. But I won't do this forever. No.
Well, you'll hopefully be interacting with some people today. We'll see how that goes.
Yes. How about that?
Okay, hit the road. Let's go for a ride.
Let's roll.
Where do you live?
I live in Yakima, Washington.
Oh, okay, so you're visiting.
I'm visiting DC for a week, yeah.
The other Washington.
That's right, yeah.
What would you change about the rideshare experience?
So we both moved recently from Seattle, where we use rideshare all the time. And it's obviously more convenient, to get where you need to go. You can call a Lyft or an Uber anytime, but it's also, in certain areas of Seattle, made traffic a lot worse because every car you see is a Lyft or an Uber.
I got a sense that it makes traffic here a bit worse too.
Yeah.
What do you wish that all rideshare drivers knew or did not do?
I think that by and large, they're fairly good at this, but I've had issues where rideshare drivers haven't been able to read verbal cues about whether I want to engage in a conversation with them or not. And they tend to be really charming, and when I'm in a good mood, I'm just delighted to connect with them, but then there are also times where I'm answering in monosyllables and probably don't want, I'm stressed or just going home from work or whatever.
Well, you should know, of course, that Amazon has chosen Crystal City in Arlington County, Virginia, as one of the sites for its second headquarters. Of course, the New York thing didn't work out.
Right.
But what advice would you give to people who are looking at the prospect of Amazon relocating here? What should they be looking out for?
Well, the experience with Seattle has been incredibly increased housing costs, for one thing. An entire sort of new sector of people who've been brought into the area and been given high-paying jobs, but have driven up rental costs and have driven a lot of people who are sort of at the lower end, who've sort of just been able to make rent at the lower end of the rent spectrum, have been driven out of their homes. So an increased population of homeless people, which I think is connected to the arrival of Amazon.
That's one of the bigger fears here.
Yeah,
that
and I
it's
think
going
it's
to lead
grounded.
to an increase in the cost of housing, and we already have problems with providing affordable housing in this region, but people are also concerned about the possible effect on traffic. Has there been a significant effect on traffic in Seattle?
I do think that traffic has gotten significantly worse. I think both of those things are really serious concerns for anywhere where they're going to have a big influx like that.
Hi, my name is Kojo. What's yours?
Kalima.
Kalima, very nice meeting you.
You too.
Kalima, how often do you take Lyft?
Every day. Yeah.
Every day? How come?
Oh, because I don't have a car.
Why do you choose Lyft over public transit, taxis, rent a bike, rent a scooter? Why Lyft?
I guess, well, public transportation is, too many people. I feel like Lyft is a little bit more private. You know what I mean? Even though you can have a shared ride, there's not as many as 30 people sitting next to you on public transportation. And I guess the bike, because I don't, I guess I'm lazy,
Now, a lot of people these days who live in cities like you and take Lyft, or Uber for that matter, have decided not only do they not have a car, but they're not going to get a car.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I don't know, DC, it's a little intimidating to drive here.
Driving,
Yeah, because I could have a car, but I don't know.
You love the circles in DC?
And I feel like the drivers are different. Whenever like you're in major cities, it's it's a little bit more of aggression. I feel like you need to learn defensive driving. For real, that's the real skill.
You talked about working different times. What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, actually, I found that getting up around, going out about 3 o'clock in the morning is a very good thing for me. I can go out 3 o'clock in the morning. I can be finished at least by 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning.
What makes you decide to finish? Do you have a certain goal in mind for the number of rides or the number of hours you'll work each day, or, frankly, how much money you make?
Well, the money comes. My goal is to do 20 to 25 trips a day. If I do that, I have a rental car, which Lyft helps out with the rental. I can actually get a bonus up to $170. That really, really helps out, and I end up paying about $70 a week for the car. So it really, it works out. I get to keep the rest of the money for myself.
Give me a ballpark figure when you say you get to keep the rest of the money for yourself.
Well, Walmart, I probably made about maybe $120 a day, or maybe stretch it, maybe $130 a day. With Lyft, I make about $300 a day. If I push it, I may make $400.
How often do you use Lyft?
A lot.
How come?
I don't see myself ever buying a car. Like, so long as I live in cities like this, the metro gets me everywhere I need to go during, daylight hours, and Lyft, takes me everywhere else after that.
At what point do you think ride shares cause people to change the way they live? You, for instance, just said you don't see yourself ever buying a car. 20 years ago, I couldn't see a graduating student saying, I can't see myself buying a car. What's changed?
I think that the ability to be able to crowdsource business services allows a lot of people to be able to be more connected and to be able to navigate the world for a lot less money than, previously thought.
But how about the cultural aspect of it? This is America, and in America and in the African American community, your ride was often what defined you. That's changed.
Definitely. A lot of people, they're taking this money that they would spend on material things, and really like putting it more so towards themselves and also to experiences. I think it's a bigger flex, if you will, to travel across the world with the money that you would spend on a nice car, or some nice clothes, and then post it on Instagram.
What has surprised you most during your time as a driver?
When people get into your car, it's like coming into your house. And some people can be pretty disrespectful, but you can't just say, get out.
You're a local, born and raised in Sandy Spring.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found out anything new about this DC region since you've been driving rideshare, and if so, what?
Well, I didn't know that, there were actually houses in DC that has land. DC is a very beautiful place, full of history. And, I don't know. It has changed so much over the years. At one point, I wouldn't even come into DC and stay.
How about the other parts of the region? You grew up in Sandy Spring, Maryland. There's Virginia, I'm sure you do a lot of Virginia trips also.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Virginia. If I go into Virginia, I probably can't leave Virginia. It's so busy.
What are you doing hanging out here on Constitution Avenue in Washington?
I'm here on a family vacation. Family flew in. We were just in New York for a couple days and came down to see some monuments.
Where are you from?
Los Angeles.
Where you were standing on Constitution Avenue, there are a lot of taxis there, so why did you choose Lyft over one of those little red and black taxis that you see going up and down there?
Well, you know, in New York, I guess, you know, the yellow cab was easier to spot. We didn't even know that they were red until you just told me. So, you know what? We probably would have grabbed a taxi if I knew that. I just always thought in New York you can grab a taxi, hop in, and they're very trustworthy as well when you're traveling with the family. You got to make sure that, you know, you're going to be safe. But, you know, with your cell phone in your pocket all the time, it's just so easy just to call a Lyft or an Uber. You hit a button, somebody shows up. You can see what their star rating is and make sure that they're okay. Guy that picked us up, we're in National Harbor, and so that's like 20 minutes away. And the guy that picked us up had 16,000 rides under his belt. You're like, okay, well, this guy's got to be trustworthy. You know? So,
Yeah, without a doubt. I think you just gave me some information I have to share with the DC taxi cab officials. And that is, everybody knows when you go to New York, you see yellow.
yeah.
It's a cab. Apparently not everybody knows that when you come to DC, you're supposed to look for red and black.
I guess that, you know what, I had no idea.